evening and welcome to the Writer's Block. I'm your host, John Ronan, and as you know now, because we are in our 32nd year, I interview writers about their craft, what they're working on, what they've accomplished in the past, what they're planning for the future. It's a little bit wider net than writers, however. We have had on sculptors, we've had on musicians, we've had on artists occasionally. So if you have an idea for someone who might be a good fit for the Writer's Block, a writer, of course, or another brand of artist, watch for our address at the end of the show. We'd be very happy to get your suggestions. I also want to remind you that the Writer's Block and all the other original programming produced by 1623 Studios is a product of cable access television. You don't get that with other means of accessing television or the internet. It's cable access. You stick with cable, stick with the Writer's Block. Tonight, I'm very happy to say we do have a writer, a very accomplished writer in multiple genres, who is revisiting after a few years of being away from the Writer's Block. Her name is Sharon Love Cook. She is an original Gloucester person. She grew up here in Gloucester, went to Gloucester High School, and then down the road to Beverly to North Shore Community College. She also attended Montserrat, and she's still an artist and cartoonist, and then Salem College, now university, and then later took an MFA at Bennington College in Vermont. She is an accomplished mystery novelist. She's written A Nose for Hanky Panky, A Deadly Christmas Carol, Laugh Till You Die, and is now working and about to bring out in the spring a new novel titled Talking to the Moon. She is also a cartoonist, and we have mentioned before on the show, 30 Reasons Men Are For Now, Cats Are Forever. You might pick that up. It's very funny. She also is, in case the name's familiar to you, she also is a columnist for the Salem Evening News, and her columns sometimes run in the Gloucester Daily Times. And later in the show, I'm going to ask her to read one of her columns. Sharon Love Cook, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, John. It's really nice to be back here. And I don't think it's been so long. You said she was here many, many years ago.
No, a few.
A few? Oh, okay.
A few.
Of course.
You were here many years ago, and then you came back, and we're here again a few years ago.
That's right. It doesn't seem that long ago, but of course it probably is. But you haven't changed at all.
Okay, let's go on to some real reality here. Some reality.
No tough questions, John.
Tell me about the book that's about to come out and where and when it will appear.
Is that the one Talking to the Moon?
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, that was originally called Phantom Baby. And it was published by Martin Brown LLC. They're in Indiana, and they're a medium-sized publisher, and they had the book for I think it was about 3 or 5 years, and then the contract ran out, and I thought, well, I think I want to try promoting it. We didn't renew the contract, so the rights fell to me. So I decided I'm going to put it out, and I'm going to put it out under a different title, because a lot of people thought Phantom Baby was sci-fi or something like that. They didn't quite know what it.
It's a little sci-fi.
Yeah, it does, and so I thought, well, I'm going to do that, and so I have just finished editing it. I went through the whole thing again and edited it, and I'm going to get the new title. I'll tell you what I was going to call it originally. It's sort of a stab at trying to get the public's interest. Get people interested, grab them by the neck. And I was going to call it Dancing in Your Underwear. Now, because there is a scene where Iris tells her best friend, Grace, tells her that she's looking, because Iris has this husband who runs off and has a midlife crisis with this sexy bartender, this at the Sacred Cod where he drinks, and he leaves her, and Iris is alone, and then her daughter Shannon is pregnant, and she falls into the clutches of this very upscale adoption agency, which is paying to send her to college, is sort of remaking her life, and they've just sort of absconded with her, and Iris is alone, and what she dreams, she believes she hears the unborn baby's cries, and she knows that's a message to her. The baby wants to be discovered, wants to be, found and united with her. And she's a little unhinged at that point anyway. She's living alone, and
this is very serious stuff.
Well, it is. It is serious, but at the same time, she does kind of kooky things, people think, but they make sense to her, because she eventually kidnaps a baby. She believes she's led to her grandson. The baby's born, and unbeknownst to her, the grandson is with a couple in Ohio, a very professional couple in Ohio. But she thinks she finds him in the Mighty Mart parking lot. And the reason she kidnaps him, she sees his babysitter, his caregiver, having a smoke, and she sees cigarette butts in the ashtray, and the baby's in the back seat. This woman has left the kid in the car, and she's in there, joking it up with the people in the store, leaving the baby there, and Iris that's her grandson, so she kidnaps him.
This is going to entice, I'm sure, our TV audience.
Oh, I hope so.
It's a mystery. I can see why the dancing in the underwear didn't last. Because
yes, I'm sorry.
It's such a serious topic.
Well, I digress. Is it digress? Yes, a little bit. When she was talking to her friend Grace, Grace said, "Well, what kind of a man do you want?" No one like Frank. She doesn't want someone like Frank, who is, just boastful, a blowhard, et cetera, et cetera. But she said she wants a man she can feel comfortable with. And she said, someone you can dance in your underwear with. And she said, it's not a sexual thing. It's just, a friendly, comfortable,
I thought you were going to, because this is a mystery novel.
Oh, no, it's not. This is actually, I guess, woman's fiction or standalone.
I misunderstood. I thought it was another.
The others were the Granite Cove Mysteries.
Yes.
Those three that you
mentioned.
mentioned.
This is not one of the Granite Cove.
Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. Those were Granite Cove Mysteries.
We were emailing back and forth preparing for the show.
I
and
know.
My fault.
No.
So the title is, again, Talking
to the Moon. Yes.
And give us a date for probable appearance of Talking to the Moon.
Perhaps March.
March of 22.
March, it could be even February, yes. I have to speak to I know the cover I want, this cover artist, and also my formatter. I have obviously a professional formatter. I'm not going to try formatting it myself electronically, but they're in Australia, and they've done my other books. My mystery novels were mainly Murder Press, and unfortunately they went out of business, so again, the books fell to me, so I put them out under my own imprint, which is Neptune Rising Press.
And this will be mentioned on your Facebook page.
Oh, sure,
which
yes.
We are going to super onto the program.
Yes.
So that people can find when exactly the book's going to come out in the early months. We'll say the early months, February or March of 22.
That's right.
Good,
That's right,
good.
John. They can go to Facebook, or they can get in touch with me it's easy to remember if you remember my name, Sharon Love Cook at Comcast.net.
Sharon
Love Cook at Comcast.net.
Okay.
I put that, my columns, that's always in the bottom, the blurb at the bottom. I always say contact me at Sharon Love Cook at Comcast.net. Of course, I've gotten a lot of spam lately.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Ever
I'll
since
bet.
then,
I'll
I'm
bet.
hearing from all kinds of companies.
So I'll repeat that one. Sharon Love Cook, Sharon L. Cook
Yes.
at Comcast.
Well, it's Sharon Love Cook at Comcast.net.
Okay. And they can find that going to Salem Evening News too.
Yes.
Because it runs with your column.
Yes.
That's a good segue to the other topic I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
You're a columnist. I don't know how you find time to write novels, mystery novels, or women's novels or make cartoons and write a column for the Salem Evening News. How often does the column come out, and when did that start?
Well, surprisingly, it actually started with when I was a teenager with the Gloucester Daily Times, and I started writing for the Cape Ann Summer Sun. It was back then, way back then, it was a supplement, Cape Ann Summer Sun, and I remember I was really young, and we lived at Long Beach, and in Rockport. My family did. Had a cottage there for 50 years, and so I wrote. So I would go around. I started as a correspondent, and
while you were in high school.
Yes, while I was in high school in the summer, and I would go around to the neighbors' houses, knocking on doors, cold calling, and asking if they had any news. And there were I remember older people wanted to talk about their operations. And I remember that, sitting in some man on his front porch, and it was an operation that...
Did that get in the column?
Well, they couldn't say what it was. It was, at the time, a family newspaper. You don't write about that, but what he was suffering from. But I remember sitting on the porch, and he's telling me all these details, and I got all the details down. And then, but I think I probably relied on writing about jellyfish invasions and the swim team, the swimming classes, the schedule for the swimming classes. And at the time, I remember it was a big thing if someone was visiting. I remember someone was visiting from New Jersey, and that was a big occasion. And I asked them, how do you like Rockport? And and I called people like Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Davis. No one really had a name. They had these titles.
To protect the innocent.
No, well, just because, and I was so young that's what they were to me. I didn't know they had names. They were Mrs. And so that was fun. So
you started high school, and then where'd you go? Where'd your writing go from there?
Well, in high school, I wrote for the literary magazine. I did that, and mostly then I got into art, and I was taking art classes with Howard Curtis, a wonderful man. He was a wonderful art teacher. Roger Curtis and Howard Curtis, brothers. They're very well, very well known in Gloucester on Cape Ann, artists. And
were they connected with Montserrat at the time?
No, they weren't.
When you mentioned Roger, I thought of Roger Martin.
Oh, Roger Martin was one of my teachers.
Who's been on the show.
Wow, yes. He was one of the founders of Montserrat.
Yes, indeed. So you were mixing early in your career, creative career. You were mixing writing and visual art.
Yeah. I remember being in grade school, and I remember I had the most wonderful class. And I remember what we did. The teacher read us a story, and then read us something, sort of a tease, and then she told us, write a story about this and illustrate it. And I remember I just loved that, taking that.
So she gave you a prompt?
Yes, a prompt, yes. And then I would write the story, and then to do an illustration. That was heaven, to be able to do both. I just love that.
So you had an experience.
Didn't see that in high school. It didn't happen in...
You had experience really, really young of seeing your name in print. And
yes,
in the local newspaper.
Oh, and I forget when I was... I have them at home. They're so yellowed, you can't even see them. It's probably like parchment. They just... I have pictures. I entered art contests. I remember in the 7th and 8th grade, and I have a picture of myself. Remember our work hung in the Sawyer Free Library, and I got a prize, and I was so, just so thrilled with that.
You handled the fame pretty well? Was that...
I did. I didn't get a publicist at the time, but...
well, there.
My error.
How long have you been writing a column for the Salem Evening News?
Oh, this is how I started to tell you this, didn't I? I told you I digress. That started the Gloucester, the writing for the Gloucester Daily Times. Then I started in the 70s. I started writing. It was called the Saturday column, And I still have those old clippings. I wrote,
That was part of the
it
supplement?
was a humor
That was
column.
part of the supplement?
Oh, no, this is the Salem News. You see,
So you started writing for the Salem News in the
Yes.
70s?
yeah, in the 70s. And then in the 80s, the Beverly Citizen. Do you remember the Beverly Citizen?
I don't.
I was one of the first, I remember the editor hired me and she said I was her first hire. So I did a column, and a lot of it was humor too, humorous look, and interviewing people, that sort of thing. I was a freelancer. I was a freelancer for them. And then the North Shore Sunday,
I
it's
remember
called
the
North Shore Sunday, yes,
and then
that's
the
right.
Beacon,
Yeah, the Beacon, that's right.
which is also since
That's part of it too. I forget what the parent company is at the time.
I don't remember myself.
I don't remember either.
So
I'll remember it when I walk away.
So you've been a columnist on the North Shore since you were a high school student, and you're
Yes.
still writing for the Salem Evening News.
Yes.
How often does the column appear?
Oh, sometimes it's like every 2 months, and sometimes it's once a month. And
So they're published when you
yeah, when
you
I
have product,
Yep.
it goes in.
when I find something, and over the years I've had, and I've done feature stories too, some feature stories for them that I have.
I
that were
asked you
fun.
if you would write or bring a column,
Oh,
and
yes.
you did bring a column about your mom, and
Yes.
I found it very entertaining and very funny. I don't think it's one of the columns that ran in the Gloucester Times. But sometimes if there is a Gloucester connection, your columns do appear
Well, it
here.
did, because it's called My Mother, the Frugal Finn.
Did this run in the
Yeah,
Gloucester Times?
I believe it must have, because a lot of the Finns, I'm a member of the Cape Ann Finns. I forgot to mention that. A member of the Cape Ann Finns. We're very strong. There are over 300 of us now, and we're on Facebook. And
We've had Finnish guests
Oh,
on the
yes.
show
Oh,
a number
yes.
of times. So,
Well, a lot of the
I'm
Finns
sorry,
got in touch
if
with me.
I did not see that in the Gloucester Times. I missed it. But
it was in May.
I'd love
way
it
back
if you
in
could
May.
read it for us.
Would you like me to
I
read
would
it?
love to.
I'll read it
Yes.
quickly. Sorry,
Great.
John. Got my gum.
That's okay.
I'm a cool guest. Okay. All right. This is called My Mother, the Frugal Finn, and it's all true. I find I don't have to exaggerate at all. I mean, truth really is funnier than fiction.
It is. It is.
My mother, the frugal Finn. I'm a frugal Finn, my mother often announced by way of explaining her thriftiness. Frugality was in her Finnish genes, she claimed. Nonetheless, she sometimes carried it too far. For instance, she'd drive all over downtown Gloucester searching for a parking meter with little time left on it. In the passenger seat, I was instructed to scan the meters on my side of the road. Those with a tiny flag jutting from the top, indicating expiration, were ignored. What a feeling of satisfaction when she discovered a meter with unused minutes. Yet, as I said, my mother sometimes carried frugality too far. As a preschooler, I discovered a wooden potty chair, minus the pot, in the attic, and impulsively put it over my head. While it went on easily, I couldn't get it off, and I still remember how it felt on my shoulder blades after about an hour. It was very, very heavy. It just got very heavy carrying that thing around. All right. The thing was stuck. I went downstairs, the chair balanced on my shoulders, its legs in the air. My father was at work, so we sought help from a neighbor. He tried slipping it over my head with no luck. Finally, he suggested we go to the fire station where they'd cut it off. Although the idea was scary, I was tired of wearing a potty chair. The fire station was located in a busy part of town, right over there across the street. I lay awkwardly on the back seat while my mother drove, the car intermittently lurching forward like that. I soon realized she was checking the meters. While I considered my predicament a family emergency, my mother wasn't going to pass up an opportunity for free parking minutes. She was still looking for a free meter. Walking the 2 blocks to the fire station, my head encased in a potty chair, I was too young to feel embarrassed. Instead, I was pleased with the attention I created among the passing shoppers. Growing up Catholic, my siblings and I celebrated our first Holy Communion in the 2nd grade. Instructed by the nuns, we spent a whole year in preparation. We knew it was a big deal when a bishop from Boston showed up to perform the Mass. I showed up at St. Peter's Church, that's in East Gloucester, wearing the regulation white dress my older sister's hand-me-down, white lace veil, and bright red shoes. They were my school shoes. My mother refused to buy new white shoes. You'll only wear once. When I protested, she announced, "No one will look at your feet." She was wrong. The nuns stared in astonishment at my red shoes. "Does your mother know it's your first Holy Communion?" Sister Florine asked. "She's a Lutheran," I said. That response usually put an end to their questions. The problem was solved by placing me in the center of a gaggle of nuns whose long black habits concealed the offending shoes. While the other kids marched into the church 2 by 2, I shuffled in like a fugitive surrounded by nuns. Another frugal family legend concerned my mother and her sister, our Aunt Winona. The minister at their church suggested they visit a parishioner in the hospital. Not only that, could they take with them a box of candy? Thus, prior to their visit, the pair stopped at a local drugstore, it was Sterling Drugstore, just right down here.
I
I
sure.
remember that. We bought a whole pound, my mother complained. They didn't sell half pounds. At the Addison Gilbert Hospital, they found the parishioner asleep in her room. Placing the candy on a table, they sat by her bed until a nurse appeared. She announced that the patient hadn't regained consciousness and wasn't expected to. Startled by this news, my mother and Winona wandered from the room, heading for the elevator. Outside, standing on the hospital's granite steps, they contemplated the situation. The patient would not recover. What would happen to the chocolates? "The housekeeper will take them," Winona suggested. With that, the pair marched back inside, heading for the 3rd floor. It was actually the 2nd floor. The ward was busy. No one noticed the two arriving and promptly leaving, a box of candy secured under an arm. Hearing this story, my siblings and I were unanimous in our criticism. However, as I get older, I can see the practical side of the situation. Could it be I've become that frugal Finn? After all, it was a whole pound of chocolates.
That's a nice column. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Do you remember eating some of the chocolate that was brought home?
My mother and Winona shared it, so we probably did. I'm sure, she might have hidden it, but
that's a good story.
I think she might have taken it out for my father, sparingly, offered him one, but I don't think she just left it there for everybody.
That's a good column, and one of the reasons I wanted to check up and see what you've been up to on the show is that you are so multi-talented. You are an artist, and you are a mystery writer.
Yes.
You're a regular columnist, and you do features, prose features as a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very interesting when people have multiple points of view. And I want to turn.
You, John.
We only have about 2 minutes left.
Oh,
I want to
that
turn
went
to
quickly.
your mystery career and hold that up to that camera where the red light is, and our director Becky Coyle will.
I don't see the red light, but I think I'm
Well, it's a
holding it up.
little red light
All right.
below the green light.
I don't have my glass.
There.
But
Yeah, I think we got that. Tell me, and we don't have time really to read
All right.
anything.
Oh, I
but
know.
Tell me about how active you are in your mystery writing career.
Well, I really started out, before I wrote novels, I started with mystery stories. And Alfred Hitchcock Mystery Magazine. This might not mean anything to you, but to short story mystery writers, this is, this is the Paris Review. I mean, this is big time. And I was in the late '90s and have been trying ever since. But one of my stories, Mystery Weekly Magazine, which is a Canadian publication, this appeared, and it's one thing that I'm sort of excited about is the Mystery Writers of America have the Edgars. They give these awards every year.
Yes.
And again, it's like the Oscar for actors. This is very big. And the editors of Mystery Weekly Magazine in Canada submitted my story, Mulch Ado About Nothing, About Plenty. I'm sorry, Mulch Ado About Plenty. They submitted that to Mystery Writers of America for an Edgar. And a lot of publications do submit stories, but if you're nominated, I mean, it's
an honor.
if
Like
you're
being
nominated, I could die and go to heaven.
Like being
I've gone to
nominated
heaven.
for an Oscar.
Yes,
So
yes.
I want to make sure our audience, when they decide to get Mystery Weekly, they can look up your story.
This is very, it's very good. It's nice. Nice big pages for those who like big pages. And,
Yeah.
It's a nice magazine.
I want to make sure the title is really clear.
Yes.
Much Ado About Plenty. Mulch.
Mulch, yes.
Mulch. And that's
Yes,
an important clue.
Because it's gardening.
It's a pun on much, but the word is mulch.
Yes.
And that's a big clue to
exactly.
the mystery.
If you like gardening, you'll like this. Oh, I was going to, I guess there's not time to read that little bit.
We don't have really time.
All right.
Because we are
Well, that
almost
went very
out of time.
quickly, John.
Well, it does.
When you have fun, it
goes
really-
too fast.
Yes.
But I am grateful for you coming down because as an artist with a degree from Montserrat,
Yes.
as a writer with a degree from Salem State, and as
Yes.
an artist again, getting a degree, an MFA from Bennington,
Yes.
it's a multiple talented career that I'm glad our audience had a chance
I like
to
writing and I like
catch up on.
I used to be into fine arts, but I always liked cartooning, even as a kid. Today you can go to a college for fine art.
And they can see your cartooning in 30 Reasons Men Are For Now.
And Cats Are Forever.
Thanks for being on the show.
And that's the truth.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
I want to thank our television audience for being with us as well. Thank you for watching tonight. If you've learned something about the multi-talented career of Sharon Love Cook, then the Writer's Block has done its job. Thanks for being with us, and I hope to see you again next time on the Writer's Block. Good night.